To demilitarize and denazify Ukraine, Russia is launching a special military operation. With these words of Vladimir Putin, Russian troops crossed the border into Ukraine. Russian fighter jets entered the airspace of Ukraine. The Russian Navy entered the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov, and the Russian invasion of Ukraine began. That was 23rd of February, and it has been more than a month now, with no end in sight. Putin didn't even in his wildest dreams thought that the city of Kiev will take so much time to fall, after he boastfully said to an official of NATO, after he successfully annexed Crimea in 2014, that he can capture Kiev in 15 days if he wanted to. The conflict that started in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea and the establishment of two Russian-backed separatist regions in the Donbas area, that is, Donetsk and Lugansk, has now turned into a bloody war with mounting casualties on both sides and Ukrainians forced to flee their homes and their country. The fierce defense of Ukraine by its army, citizenry, and President Volodymyr Zelensky has shocked and stunned Russia and Putin. It has moved and inspired the rest of the world. The call to arms by the Ukrainian president led to thousands of able-bodied Ukrainians, both men and women, to take up arms to be part of the territorial defense forces, the last line of defense. Some Ukrainians even returned from abroad, from their safe surroundings, to protect their home. Common people have started weapons training, making homemade Molotov cocktails, setting up obstacles and barriers for the Russian convoys. The Ukrainian resistance has shown unity, valor, courage, smart and intelligent use of its resources, and a deep sense of pride in their country. One thing this has done is prove to Putin and the rest of the world that Ukraine deserves and has a right to be an independent and a sovereign nation, and that its citizens will even sacrifice their lives and livelihood to keep it that way. Russian operation, on the other hand, has been inefficient, ineffective, and with a lot of shortcomings. Putin believes that his great army will subjugate Ukraine with shock and awe, and the Ukrainian people will welcome their army. In reality, it has been nothing but opposite. There have been multiple reports of division between different arms of the Russian army. It has faced multiple setbacks due to incoherent strategy and supply chain issues, with soldiers facing food shortage, and even burning their own clothes to keep themselves warm in the freezing temperature of Ukraine. Many of the soldiers are conscripts, and as a result, the morale and the motivation in the army have been pretty low. The Russian casualties are mounting, with Ukraine saying that in the war around 16,000 Russian soldiers have died. Russia says that around 1,400 of its soldiers have been martyred. With all the setbacks, Russian army has started attacking civilian targets like schools, maternity and children hospitals, shopping malls, etc., with the belief that such attacks will break the will and resolve of the Ukrainian public and make their defense weak. This has led to thousands of civilian casualties and hundreds of children and women dead. To deter West from helping Ukraine by supplying it arms and ammunition, Russia has raised the temperature and stakes of the war with nuclear threats. Its spokesman even saying that Russia will not be afraid to use nuclear weapons if it thinks it faces an existential threat, and nobody in the world knows what the Russia's threshold for that threat is. It is believed that Russia has developed a nuclear policy of escalate to de-escalate, that is to use relatively low yield and less destructive nuclear weapons, also called tactical nuclear weapons, so as to bring its adversary on its knees and to deter its allies from helping it. This will also put Russia in a better position when the negotiations start. The West has accused the Russia of war crimes, and the International Court of Justice has even started investigations against Russia for crimes against humanity. The West has tried to deter Russia by imposing unprecedented sanctions against him, the politicians of the Russia, the cronies and the oligarchs closest to him, and the banks and businesses across Russia. The assets worth billions of pounds of the oligarchs in Europe and US have been freezed. Western businesses have either ended their ties with Russian entities or they have closed their operation in Russia. One of the oligarchs, very close to Putin, said in an interview that if the leadership of the US and EU believe that by imposing sanctions on me, they can force me to go and talk to Putin and that he will listen to me, then they do not know how Russian politics works. And this is a very ominous sign for the world. And he is right. The oligarchs have no influence over Putin. Putin's predecessor, Boris Yeltsin, gave them a lot of political and financial power by selling them Soviet state companies after its fall in 1991 at very low prices. And in return, they funded Boris Yeltsin's campaign and propaganda. When Putin became president in 2000, he completely changed the balance of power. He asked them to keep politics and business separate and in return offered them state contracts in the field of oil, gas, minerals, infrastructure development, etc. This led to oligarchs becoming extremely rich, but it also made Putin very powerful. Anyone who didn't accept the deal perished, as one of the richest oligarchs of the time was sent to 10 years in prison because he tried to enter the politics. This was seen as a warning to other oligarchs. So this war will end only when Putin gets what he wants. Nobody knows what it is. Some say he just wants to secure the Russian-speaking Donbas area and the Crimea. Some say he wants to bring Ukraine under his influence by installing a pro-Russian regime in Kiev, just like Belarus, where its leader Andriy Lukashenko, who is in power only with the support of Putin, even after even when there is widespread anger in even when there is widespread anger in Belarusian public against him. Some even say that he will not stop with Ukraine and may even go after other Eastern European countries like Moldova and Poland, which is a member of NATO. Whatever happens, this war has completely changed the geopolitics and the future of the world. Putin has brought the world one step closer to the Third World War, and with most countries possessing nuclear weapons, this would be completely and totally catastrophic for the future of humanity. Putin has to stop this war and stop it now and bring the world back from the brink of destruction.